Assalamu alaikum dear students. In the series of learning C programming, we are discussing functions in C. In the function, we are discussing recursion in C. In the previous video, we have discussed what is recursion, what are recursive functions, how the recursive functions works. That all have been discussed in the previous video very minutely and thoroughly. And in today's video, we are going to discuss what are various types of recursion. As I have already told in previous video that there are different types of the recursion, such as direct recursion, indirect recursion, tail recursion, non-tail recursion. And in today's video, we are going to discuss types of recursion. And in these types of recursion, we will discuss two types of the recursion: direct recursion and indirect recursion. क्योंकि अच्छी परान recursion in CS मस पत्मस videos में पूछा से recursion क्या गो तो आप with the help of the problem or with the help of the program could discuss tightness output execution of the recursive function that all have been discussed in the previous video. So here we know that there are different types of the recursion, such as direct recursion, indirect recursion, tail recursion and non-tail recursion. In today's video, we will discuss the direct recursion and indirect recursion. So first of all, here I am going to write a program. For example, int fun. This is a function, for example, and this is some code statements of this function, and after execution of this statement is fun. Here, this is the example of the direct recursion. What happens in direct recursion? In direct recursion, the fun function, the fun function is calling itself. The fun function is calling itself. We know that recursion. What is recursion? Recursion, when a function calls itself, we can say that is a recursion. And those functions are called recursive functions. When a function calls itself, those functions are called recursive functions. This is a direct recursion. Here, this fun function calls itself, directly calls itself. Because I have declared this function is a function call. We know that is the function call. Here, this function is going to call the function itself again. And after execution of this line, it will call again itself. So, it's a direct recursion, which we have already discussed in the previous video. The example of the direct recursion have we already discussed it in previous video. And in today's video, we will give stress on indirect recursion. What is indirect recursion? When a function calls itself through another function, at that time, we can say the recursion is indirect. Or we can say when a function calls itself in a circular fashion. At that time, we can say that function is that recursion is an indirect recursion. For example, first of all, we will discuss here real life example. We will try to understand this concept, indirect recursion, with the help of the real life example. For example, क्योंकि यदि कांटी फंक्शन बेकिस पन्नस पानस कॉल करे मगर डायरेक्टली नहीं किया बल्कि थ्रू अंदर फंक्शन तम साथ होता है इनडायरेक्ट रिकर्जन. फॉर एग्जांपल, यूसुफ, ओके, फारूक, रशीद, and Rashid is calling Yusuf again. लेकिन क्या से कर सकते? For example, Yusuf is one function, Farooq is second function, and Rashid is third function. What happens here? Here, Yusuf is calling Farooq, Farooq is calling Rashid, and Rashid is calling again Yusuf. That means the Yusuf is going to be called through Farooq, Rashid again. Yusuf की बेई कॉल के साथ डायरेक्टली नहीं किया Yusuf चुन Yusuf पाने से क्या कॉल किया बल्कि Yusuf गसा again call, but through another functions. That is here, Yusuf is going to be called through in a circular fashion. Such functions are called recursion. No, they are indirect recursion, recursive functions. For example, if we consider Yousuf is one function, Farooq is another function, and Rashid is another function. Here, The Yousuf calls Farooq calls Rashid, and Rashid calls in turn to Yousuf. In other words, you can say Yousuf is going to be called through Farooq, Rashid, and then Yousuf. That's in a circular fashion. Such type of recursion is called indirect recursion. I hope now that you have understood the funda behind the indirect recursion. Now, with the help of the example, with the help of the program, we will discuss the working of the indirect recursive function. Or, in other words, you can say, I am going to write here a program, and after execution of the program, we will see what would be the output of that program and what is the flow of the execution of that recursive function. First of all, I am here writing a program. क्योंकि गणित लगे तो प्रोग्राम तो विद द हेल्प ऑफ दैट प्रोग्राम करो डिस्कस कि रिकर्सिव फंक्शन या इंडायरेक्ट रिकर्जन क्या गई तो कितकेन चाहिए कम करान फ्लो ऑफ एग्जीक्यूशन क्या इंडायरेक्ट रिकर्जन में आसान. First of all, obviously I am going to declare a function. Jab ni kiyan, the function karbe ta declare. For example, a function chase kan int fun1. Int is a fun1 and it is going to pass one argument. It is a function prototype. And another function which I am going to use is the int fun2 and it is I also going to pass one argument of type integer because these are the parameters. Here the integer value is going to be passed and also the fun2 is going to be passed integer value and the return type in both the functions is integer. And after that I am going to write here a main function void just a minute. Void main function. After writing main function, here I am printing printf percentage d of here fun. I am here going to for 5. And fun1 int x is the declaration of the function if or n int n if n less than or equal to 1 return 1 else return return n into fun2 n minus 1 and here I am going to declare another function fun2 int fun2 and the parameter here is also x or n. Definition: if n is less than or equal to 1 return 1 else return and enter fun1 n minus 1 and that is it. Here what I have done here I wrote a simple program, the recursive program, and with the help of this program we will discuss what is indirect recursion. Take care. First of all, here I declare two functions int fun1 and int fun2. The name of the first function is fun1 and another name of the second function is fun2. And what fun1 is passing integer argument, parameter, integer argument, and also the fun2 is passing integer argument. And we know that the execution of that, we will now discuss the flow of the execution of this program. First of all, here void man. We know that execution of the C program begins from the man. And after entering the control into this here printf %d fun5. printf %d fun5. Here it is also a function call, we know. क्योंकि ये तंत्र function call here the fun function fun1 fun5 by passing 5 as argument. ये तंत्र call function function fun1 call yes pass karan 5 as an argument. So fun5 fun function is going to be passed and the control will reach here fun1 int n. So now here 5 is going to be passed to this function fun minus to 5 pass. That means now this n contains 5. चूंकि ये 5 pass as an argument कॉल करें इस fun1 function सगळे ये function fun1 function ये fun1 function कॉल गई तो int n by passing 5 as an argument. If n less than or equal to 1, क्या n लकुट या 5 लकुट या बराबर है किस? No, because n is not less than or equal to 1. N is greater than 1. That means 5 is greater than 1. This condition returns false. So the control will reach here. Return n into what is n? Returning as 5 into fun2. Take care. fun2 n minus 1. What is n? N is 5. 5 minus 1. That means 4. 4 is going to be returned. But where? Where is going to be returned? fun2. Here, this 4 is going to return to fun2. This is a fun2 function. This is also a function call. That means n into fun2. Here fun2 is going to be called by passing the argument n minus 1. What was the value of n? 5. 5 minus 1, that is 4. Okay. And after entering the control here, if n less than or equal to 1, now what is n? Because this n minus 1 is going to be passed here and it will get stored here. Now this n contains 4. क्योंकि once we n करानी 4, because n was 5, then goes after we want 4, so go past yet. Okay, I hope you get it. Now, if n less than or equal to 1, no, n is 4. 4 is not less than 1. That means this statement, this condition evaluates false. When this statement evaluates false, the statement after this will not get executed. So the control will go to the ls part. ls return, and that will get to return what? And what is n? N is 4. N is into, take care, fun1. Here the fun1 is going to be called by passing n minus 1. That means fun1 by passing n minus 1. What is n? N is 4. 4 minus 1. That means 3 is going to be passed. And where will control go? Control will go to fun1. Where is fun1? Here is fun1. This is the fun1. Control will reach here. fun1. Okay, fun1 is this call. fun1 से इतना से तुम वो control by passing the argument n minus 1. Now n minus 1 is 3. N minus 1 is showing 3. 3 is going to be passed. And again the condition is going to be checked. If n less than 1, 3 is not less than 1. That means this statement, this condition evaluation is false. So the control will go to the else part. ls return. And what is going to be returned? And what is n? N is 3 into fun2. Take care. fun2 n minus 1, n is 3, 3 minus 1, that is 2. Okay? And again, here's a function call. But which function is going to be called? Function 2. That will control will reach here by passing the n minus 1. Now, this n minus 1, it was 2. 2 is going to be passed here. If n less than equal to 1, kya n is less than equal to 1? No, n is 2. 2 is not less than equal to 1. That means this condition is false. When this condition is false, control will this condition will evaluate false. The statement after this condition will not get executed. So the control will go to the else part. Else part means क्या? And what is n? N is 2 now. We know that n is 2 into, this is into Part-1. Take care. Part-1, n minus 1. What was n? N was 2. 2 minus 1. That is 1. 1 is going to be passed. But why? Why n is going to be passed? Part-1. Here function 1 is going to be called. That is the control will go again here. Take care. Here. Int Part-1. Int. Here Part-1. Int the n. And now n contains 1. Because 1 is going to be passed. If n less than 1, yes, n is not less than 1, but equal to 1. n is less than 1 कैसे किया? बल्कि equal to 1. That means this condition is now true. ये condition है true. ये true है. When this condition is true, now return 1. Return, what will you get return? 1. But why? Now question is why 1 is get return. 1 को gets return. You get to the return, ये call करे. 1 will go return to here, Part-1, n minus 1. That means here I will show it. 1 will get returned to this function. Now, this function contains 1. This 1 will get returned to. Now, it will become 2 into 1 equal to 3. No, sorry. 2 into 1 equal to 2. Because 1 is going to return. Now, the control will go backwards. Backwards. We have already discussed it. The recursive process. Now, first it goes to the forward direction, then it goes in the same process. It goes in the backward direction. Here, return 1. Why 1 is going to return? That function who have called it. This is a called function. That means 1 is going to return Part-1. 2 into 1, 2. Now, this 2 into 1 is going to return this one. 2. Part to us. 2 into 3, 6. 2 into 3, 6. And this 6 is going to return Part-1. 6 into 4, 24. And this 24 will return to this Part-2. That means 24. 24 into 5, 120. And this 120 will get returned to Part-5. That means now, why is Part-5? Part-5 is now. Why is Part-5? It is in a man program. It is in a man function. So now this Part-5 contains 120. Yes, Part-5 because now this is going to be 120 is going to be returned to, and the output would be percentage Part-5. That means the output of this program after execution will be 120. I hope now that you have understood what is indirect recursion. क्योंकि इसी प्रोग्राम हुआ से क्योंकि तेरी नजर फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल ये क्या गई कम फन फंक्शन गेट नेस कॉल ते चुके टेक किया हियर फन फंक्शन से कैसा कॉल हियर Part-1 फंक्शन से Part-1 फंक्शन से करें कॉल का Part-1 से फंक्शन इसे करें Part-2 बस कॉल Part-2 से करें जितना बोल इसे करें वापस फन वो इसके से कैसा कॉल दैट मींस डायरेक्टली से कैसा किया हियर Part-1 call is Part-2 and Part-2 call is back to Part-1. Part-1 call is Part-2, Part-2 से करना वापस indirectly से कैसा डायरेक्ट Part-1 से करना Part-1 ने डायरेक्ट कॉल किया बल्कि बच्चा Part-1 करना कॉल Part-2 से Part-2 से करना कॉल Part-1 that is indirect in the circular fashion ये करना कॉल या ये करना वापस आ ये करना या ये कर that means the process in a circular fashion that I have told in the beginning that indirect recursion there execution of the function takes place in a circular fashion. When a function calls itself in a circular fashion, at that time you can say the function is a recursive in nature. So now I hope that you understood what is indirect recursion. In indirect recursion, then first of all we know that recursion when a function calls itself At that phenomena, we say that is the recursion. And those functions are called the recursive functions. But when the function can call itself either directly or indirectly. In direct recursion, the function calls itself without any intermediation, without any directly, not in a circular fashion. That type of recursion is called direct recursion. But in indirect recursion, when a function calls itself through other functions, or you can say when a function calls itself in a circular fashion, at that time, we can say that the function is, the nature of those functions is indirect recursion. So now I hope that you have understood the funda behind the indirect recursion. And inshallah in the next video, we are going to discuss one more type of the recursion, for example, tail recursion and non-tail recursion. Till next video, take care, bye bye.